You're watching the CONCACAF Gold Cup on Fox, presented by Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Live images from Cowboys Stadium. Both teams have made their way out of the tunnel and onto the field. Heather Mitz, Eric Winalda, Warren Barton, Rob Stone back here with you. One guy in the starting lineup who wasn't in the lineup to start for the quarterfinals but made a big impact off the bench, Eddie Johnson. What do you forecast from him tonight, Heather?
I mean, when you come in off the bench and score in 17 seconds and get an assist, obviously now he has that confidence. He has a vote of confidence from Jurgen. So he's going to get the start, but definitely a different mind frame from him.
Demolition man, that's what we're calling him. That's what we need tonight if you're a U.S. fan. I thought his performance, I mean, I said it during the game. This game is screaming Eddie Johnson. He gets his chance tonight from the start. He has that speed factor. He's just faster than most guys he plays against. Let's see if he's got it tonight.
It's the CONCACAF president leading the walkthrough. Right behind him, Sunil Gulati, president of U.S. Soccer. Warren, Honduras, 4 goals scored. Fewest of the Final Four teams. The U.S., 16 goals scored. Most in the tournament. How do those numbers impact the way this one's going to play out?
Also, the field being narrow will help them defend as a unit, and that's what they've been very successful. We spoke about the team being uncomfortable to play against, and that's what they're going to make it with the US. Not only the field, the width, but also the way they play. They don't leave any gaps in behind because they're very good as a defensive unit.
Handshakes are done, and time for us to step aside for the national anthems, the United States and Honduras.
Please rise for the national anthem of Honduras, to be followed by the national anthem of the United States of America. Damas y caballeros, les pedimos permanecer de pie para el himno nacional de Honduras.
We remind you, Mexico, Panama, the second game of our doubleheader. We start with the U.S. and Honduras. Both these teams played Sunday in Baltimore, a steamy Sunday in Baltimore. And you think that, coupled with their run through the tournament, might kind of hit Honduras' legs today?
I just think fatigue may kick in as well, particularly the style of football that they play. They work hard, they're a unit. They haven't had a lot of possession of the ball. And with US bringing in fresh players, they play with genuine width, and they've got players that can hurt you with pace.
Yeah, and don't forget, I mean, there's just still players still trying to make a World Cup team. This is a huge game. But after that end of the national anthem, I mean, you can't help but get fired up. As a player, man, this is the game you waited for.
Are you crying again?
I'm not crying. I wasn't crying in the first place.
Just unretired.
I just got
4 of us will be
emotional.
back here at halftime with full highlights from this one. But for now, and the call, let's send it over to Kobe Jones and JP Dellacamera.
Thanks so much, Rob. USA has not lost since May the 29th, a 4-2 loss against Belgium. 9 consecutive wins is a USA record. If they can make it 10 straight, they'll be in the final Sunday against the winner of Panama versus Mexico in Chicago. Lineups being brought to you by Sprint, official sponsor of the CONCACAF Gold Cup. We take a look at the U.S. lineup, and there are a few changes there, but you have to look at the back line. They're keeping that consistent, which is very important in this match as you're moving into the semis. Beckerman and Holden. Holden, the one big change in there. They said there's good competition in the midfield. This is the opportunity for Holden to show. And then we see Bedoya coming in on that right-hand side, part of that midfield as well. He's going to have to give that width. And then EJ, Eddie Johnson up top. He's going to have to use his speed to make sure that he tests the back line of Honduras. And with Honduras, they didn't make that many changes here. And we see with the back line and the midfield, very similar. And then even with the goalkeeper, same goalkeeper. They more of a defensive shape, I expect, in this match, because their 2 changes that they did make were up top with a couple of players with Chavez and Martinez that have done very well for them. So that tells me that they're going to sit back in this match a little bit, play defensive, and see at some point in the game those players come in and try to take 1 goal off of the U.S. Honduras' key to an upset win will be a defensive game. A low-scoring game would be in their favor. Compared to a U.S. team that scored 16 goals, that's a record for them in the Gold Cup. Honduras defensively only given up a couple of goals. They've only scored 4. That's the lowest amount of the 4 teams left in the semifinals. Ready for action, Honduras in the blue, United States in the red and white. From Cowboys Stadium, Arlington, Texas, where the field could be an issue today. We'll find out. Grass laid over concrete. One bad pass taken away by Eddie Johnson in the middle. Gave it up there to Beckerman, and then it was lost. Reyes pass. Claros to the right sideline. A little bit of space for Honduras. It's a narrower field by about 4 yards. That would seemingly be to Honduras' advantage. Less space for them to cover.
And it's going to be a huge advantage for Honduras, because now when we take a look here in this situation, there's a little bit of a shove right there. Hands go up. Not me, but definitely a foul there. But for Honduras, it's going to be important that they try to make this field as small as possible, because they're going to be on the defensive end most of this game. So in this situation, smaller field makes it a lot easier for them.
Bedoya took it away on that right side. It's behind Eddie Johnson, closer towards Landon Donovan, who fouls. How's Landon doing? Just 5 goals and 7 assists in his 5 games since returning from hiatus. Outstanding.
I think he's doing very well. Look at Landon Donovan and everything that he's doing. You said just 5 goals? Is that all? That's a pretty good job for the tournament. And that's exactly what he wants to do in this situation. If Landon comes through and scores all these goals, you have to look to the future and his opportunities. You take a look at this. Just coming in, a little bit straight leg there. I'm surprised that one wasn't called by the referee.
Donovan, by the way, dominating against El Salvador with a goal and 3 assists. Out of play once more.
At times like this over the years, playing with Landon Donovan, I've seen in these situations when it becomes tournament time, that's always when he seems to step up and takes his game to another level. And he's done an excellent job so far in this Gold Cup.
Stuart Holden on the defensive side of the ball, trying to knock it away from Nahar, and the U.S. is able to get to it. It's Bedoya in the middle, will lay it back. Coming all the way back to Nick Rimando. 2 spectacular saves in the El Salvador game when the score was 2-0 in favor of the U.S. Torres broken up.
I don't think Nick Rimondo's gotten enough credit for everything that he's done so far in this tournament. And we talk about this goal scoring, but what about the goalkeeping that he's done? He has kept the U.S. solid all the way through this whole tournament, making big saves throughout.
The Reyes pass ahead, tackled away. Reyes gets it back, only his 2nd appearance internationally for Honduras. Trapped by Garcia. And that ball goes out on this narrow field. Parkhurst pushing it all the way back. Beasler and Goodson are the 2 central defenders. Omar Gonzalez on the bench today. Holden makes his move, lays it off on the left. Johnson looking for some space in the box. No service yet. Torres cutting it inside. He was looking for Johnson.
Well, that's going to have to happen a lot in this match for the U.S. When you have that little bit of space, 2-3 yards, that cross needs to come over, because it's not going to be much more than that. The field's so small that whenever you get that yard or so, whip the ball in and let your forwards attack. Try to create some chaos in front of the Honduras team.
It's Juan Carlos Garcia scored a goal in that match in Honduras. Won by Honduras 2-1 in the first World Cup qualifier in the Hex round. Goodson played it back. Beasler from Sporting Kansas City. Back for Goodson. He'll try that long ball. Johnson with Donovan making a run. Garcia, an awkward clearance. He almost handled it. Dangerously played back. Escobar is there to clear it.
Being a little bit risky in the back right there for Honduras, but Escobar does a good job of just saying, you know what, clear the space, let me boot this up the field, and let my defense reset.
Clarence Goodson started his MLS career in Dallas. Holden is back for it, leaving it off. Back in the middle for Goodson. Torres. That was off Beasley. Back for Holden. U.S. trying to get into a rhythm, and Honduras will do their best to disrupt it.
What we're going to see in this matchup, if you look at this tournament, a very good Honduras defense against a very powerful U.S. offense. And we're going to see which one comes out on top. And it's really about what you just mentioned, JP. The U.S. trying to establish a rhythm, and Honduras is going to do everything they can to break that rhythm. If it's fouling, if it's slowing down the play, anything that they can to take the players out of the rhythm and not to get 5-6 passes in a row, especially in Honduras' own half.
Andy Nahar, it's out of play. He'll have a throw in. Honduras ball. They'll play it into their half. Bekeles. That's too far. An easy play there for Nick Romano. It was intended for Roger Rojas. Scoreless in the 7th minute. USA versus Honduras in this first of 2 semifinals today here on Fox Soccer. Panama versus Mexico following this game. Bedoya brings it into a crowded middle, then try to left-footed through. Honduras will come away with it.
And that's that situation where we see it's very tight space where you dribble by one person, then there's another defender right there. Because the field's so tight, it makes it easier defensively because there's not as much yardage between players.
Beasley. Torres spinning free. Torres got it for Donovan, who returns it. Torres cutting, lays it off. Holden drives it over the bar. Better though from the U.S.
And this is good combination play by the U.S. You see the 1 and 2 touches, and then this layoff here for Holden for a first-time shot. Just doesn't let the ball drift across his face enough where he hits it a little bit soon so it goes wide. But that's how the U.S. needs to attack, the quick combination. Now the problem that's going to happen, you go back to the field. With those little rivets in there, the ball's going to bounce all over the place. So it's going to be very difficult to get that combination play going.
Nahar was on the chase. Torres gets to it. He's dragged down by Nahar. Jose knows that that's an obvious foul. Let's go to the sideline and Grant Wall. Grant, what do you have?
Guys, with defenses packing it in against the U.S. is having to show some possession chops during this tournament. On the U.S.'s second goal Sunday, Joe Corona's strike finished a 23-pass sequence that lasted 58 seconds and involved 8 different U.S. players. That's the kind of buildup you'd expect from Spain, but it's also an example of twinsy ball. Back to you.
Thanks, Grant. Can they do that, Kobe, on this field?
I think they can do it. It's going to be much more difficult for the U.S. in this situation. As Grant just said, cleansy ball. I like he coined that phrase, yeah. But with cleansy ball in this situation, moving the ball around, creating a lot of movement by the defense by passing, it's going to be tough because of all the seams where the ball's going to bounce. So it makes it easier for the defense to capitalize on a mistake.
Escobar gets his players set up for this USA free kick from long distance. Donovan's over the ball. Sending it in there, intended for Eddie Johnson. Honduras are back on it. In the middle. That was the Rojas pass for Lopez, blocked and cleared by the U.S. Bekeles lets that go for his goalkeeper, Escobar, who played so well in that match Sunday against Costa Rica.
I think Escobar is going to have another good match today by the end of it. Right now, he's not being tested too much. I still feel the teams are kind of testing each other out right now, feeling the game out to see who can really establish the type of play that they want to do today.
Beckerman, Stuart Holden. Those two will try to anchor things defensively in the midfield. Honduras back on it. Off Lopez. Brought down, returned to Lopez, who played on the Honduran Olympic side in London in 2012. Now it's Reyes. Knocked it forward, got it back, then he went flying. No call made by Walter Quesada, very respected referee from Costa Rica. He refereed that match, by the way, in Honduras. when Honduras beat the United States.
I think he did a good job there. I think he's doing a good job right now. He's kind of letting some plays go. We saw a little bit of a straight leg from the U.S., but then we also saw another situation here. He's letting the play go a little bit. We'll see how that goes as the match goes on, if that allows the players to feel, hey, maybe I can get away with a little more.
Oh, nice play by Eddie Johnson as he's getting behind the defense. Johnson shot, and he scores again! Eddie Johnson gives the U.S. the lead. It's his 17th international goal, second of the tournament.
And this really establishes Eddie Johnson. You see the combination play of Landon Donovan, what we talked about. Combination play, quick passes into the front, and then Eddie Johnson going through. No one's going to catch him once he gets by the last defender, and you kind of have to let him go once he's in the box. And then a beautiful strike right to the left of the goalkeeper. No chance for Escobar. Great opportunity for Eddie Johnson to really, I think, solidify himself right now with this national team.
Well, it only took 15 seconds when he came in as a sub on Sunday. This took a little bit longer, but that was his first good opportunity to score, and he does. Klinsmann wanted to give him a chance. He has liked Wondolowski's play so far in this tournament and wanted to reward Eddie Johnson with an opportunity to get the start right at the very beginning. You may see Wondolowski later.
Well, this is really going to change the strategy of Honduras now, because now they cannot sit back and play so defensively. They're going to have to open up a little bit, push forward a little bit more. Right now, I can tell you the coach is probably thinking, okay, the subs that he was probably thinking about in the second half, the 65th, 70th minute, going to have to come in a little bit sooner if things do not change in the next 20, 30 minutes or so.
Nahar will play it back. Ahead for Lopez. Then off Nahar. The U.S. looking, and that was Torres who draws it. He's saying that's a few fouls on the same player.
Well, this is a problem right now. We look at Torres right now. He doesn't need to worry about that. This situation, you're going to have fouls. It's a little bit of a shove, and he goes down. He can't be concerned and try to do the referee's job. Let the referee handle it.
Clarence Goodson. USA with a 1-0 lead. It's their 17th goal of this tournament. This one will bounce towards Eddie Johnson. Johnson dropping it off for Beckerman. Escobar makes the easy and safe play.
That's what Kyle Beckerman does very well. When the ball goes into the forwards and it seems like there's a lot of space between the forwards and the midfield, Beckerman always has those late runs that come in where a ball can be laid off for a first-time strike. So Beasley just gives a little bit of a nudge in the Nahar's back right there. A little bit of a foul. Not a whole lot, not much.
Honduras pulling it back. Decalis. Now they're pushed even farther back with some USA pressure. Back to the sideline and Grant Wall.
Guys, the point of the game is scoring goals, and the U.S. has picked up the pace after a slow start under Jurgen Klinsmann. In Klinsmann's first 18 games, the U.S. averaged just 1.2 goals per match. In the last 17, they've averaged 2.5, more than double that total. It's a big reason for this record 9-game winning streak. JP, back to you.
Thanks, Grant. No question, Kobe, they're scoring more goals. Part of that, they're probably playing better, but they're also loading up against, let's face it, some lesser opponents too, like the 6 goals against Belize certainly helped that goal-scoring record.
Yeah, when we're talking about the competition in this tournament, we have to understand where it's at. It's not at the same level as the World Cup qualifiers. So we know when the U.S. comes in here, they should score and load up. And that's something that we have to be positive with, that they are doing that.
Would be more critical, obviously, if they weren't scoring against teams like Belize and Cuba.
And when you play against Belize and Cuba, the U.S., the players especially, should be thinking, not when we're going to score, but who's going to score first.
Remember Landon Donovan's quotes after Sunday? He said the only bad thing, we should have scored more goals, he said.
Yeah, that's important. You have established yourself as one of the premier teams in CONCACAF. You've got to go out and play like it. You've got to have that little bit of swagger when you step out on the field. Now, if they hadn't done it like you said, people would be, screaming mad right now. But they're doing an excellent job of doing what they're supposed to do, putting the ball in the back of the net.
Bedoya. Cutting ball, Beckerman lays it off. A chance here for Holden as he goes down against Garcia. Stays down. Ball shot from distance. Escobar makes the play. Klinsmann wanted a call. Did Stewart help out? No, he got it right in the face.
And you see Stuart Holden running in there, and he does take the elbow to the face in that situation. Almost very similar to the penalty kick call against DeMarcus Beasley stepping in front.
That was a great angle to see that. I had thought initially watching it live that Stewart could have embellished it, but not there. Not there. Here's Bedoya. Good to have the other angle. Cleared away by Honduras. Beckerman setting it back, cleared away again. Off the shoulder of Beasley. DeMarcus to Holden. Kept it on the ground. A flick by Donovan. It's slightly behind Beasley. Sort of between he and Eddie Johnson, but that was some nice flair from the U.S.
Well, this is good work by the U.S. They're finding the other way to break down a team that makes it very difficult to get wide and when the field is narrow. You have to have a little bit more direct play, getting it up to the front line, but it's got to be 1 and 2 touch so you can break down and the defenders don't have time to step up and try to tackle the ball.
18th minute, USA leading on a goal by Eddie Johnson. He's one of 4 players brought into this team. After the group stage, according to CONCACAF rules, you can make up to 4 changes, and that's what the U.S. did. He came in from the Seattle Sounders. 4 players came in, 4 were sent back to their various clubs. Stuart Holden laying it off. Goodson. Donovan. Landon cuts, finds Holden. A shot! Up and over. Off target as well.
And this is a great ball in by Landon Donovan. And for Stuart Holden, almost another situation where he could have kept relaying that pass over to Eddie Johnson, had to step on his man there, but he does a brilliant shot right there, just a little bit too high. It's going to be a long night for Honduras if the back 4 continue to just drop defensively all the way into their own defensive third and not decide to step up. At some point, you have to step up. You just can't drop, and be right on the top of your goalkeeper because then the other team's going to have wide open shots like this.
Goodson from Beckerman. Bedoya. Back for Goodson. He'll switch it. Far side towards Torres. Beckerman cleared it away from Lopez. Up for Donovan. And he lost it there to Chavez. Diego Reyes works it toward the middle. Carlos. Back from Medina. Lopez was going to leave it off. Goes up the middle instead. Off Rojas, who lost it there. It's Bedoya for the U.S. Torres pass. Now it's back for Beasley. Torres trying to beat one and then a second, could not there, and maybe a chance here for Honduras on a rare counter for them here in the 20th minute, and then they lose it. Beckerman breaks it up. Goes long ball. That's the dangerous ball. Eddie Johnson. Too far, though. That's what you were talking about before. Eddie Johnson over the top. Stretched them out.
He's going to give you that speed up top where any ball over, he can probably chase it down. We saw it a little bit too far in that situation. But looking at this team, Eddie Johnson's probably one of the fastest players, not only on the U.S., but probably in this tournament. So you want someone like that that can stretch the defense out, and that opens up the spaces in the middle. And with that, watch Landon Donovan. You'll see that he'll have a lot of space as he drops into the midfield.
Nahar, decent ball in. The cross denied by the United States. It'll be the first corner, though, for Honduras.
This is good for Honduras, actually finally starting to get some play going forward. They need to try to get into the U.S.'s attack, into the U.S.'s defensive third if they're going to have any opportunities here. And we take a look here at Holden. Now, that's not a dive. That's a straight elbow to the face.
Penalty.
It's a penalty and a possible card.
Another corner for Honduras. Armando making sure everyone knows their assignment. Sent into the middle, knotted down. It was Chavez who almost got to it, and Eddie Johnson will blast it away.
And this is the one weakness that the U.S. has shown on set pieces. And even in that play, it's Chavez that gets to the ball first and actually knocks it into, I believe, the back of one of the U.S. players. U.S. players have to be first to the ball. They can't allow the opposing team to get their head on it. Be more aggressive defensively.
The run, Reyes shifting, but had nothing on that shot in the end. Armando will roll it to the left. U.S. leads on an Eddie Johnson goal. We're here in the 22nd minute. The winner goes on to the Gold Cup final Sunday at Soldier Field in Chicago. Goodson laying it off. Beasler back to Goodson, who scored 5 goals in his international career, 3 in 3 different Gold Cups, including this one.
Look at the time and space that the back line have for the U.S. Just able to knock the ball back and forth. Honduras is a little tentative in their willingness to step up and try to pressure them because they know that will open up that space again. The back line for Honduras seems a little timid to go with players because they know the speed of Donovan. They know the speed of Johnson, that if they tend to go with them and a player checks and then goes deep, they're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. I mean, that's how the first goal came about.
All the talk, Kobe, about this bad field. Have you seen it play badly so far?
I've seen trouble with the field just when the ball rolls. You see the little bumps and bobbles going on. But, you know, so far it's been okay.
You have to play 2 games on this surface.
Well, the second game might be a different story. But when we talk about the field in this situation, you're not really going to notice the bad issues with it until something major happens, like a missed trap that leads to a goal-scoring opportunity, or someone, hopefully not, you know, gets stuck in a seam and has some type of injury or something like that. That's when you really notice it. Right now, it's just going to be, you know, you see the little bobbles and everything, and you might wonder why someone didn't trap a ball or the pass was a little bit off.
This is Honduras in blue, moving forward. Medina started the last game as well in central defense. And the attack there, one deflection. U.S. should deal with that well, but they give it right back. Deflected. Raimondo quickly off his line to knock it away. Left the net empty, but he well with the clearance. Back to the sideline, Grant Wall.
Yeah, guys, I'm here at field level, and right now nobody's slipping or falling due to the field conditions. You do really get a sense on field level of how much the ball bounces when they try and pass it back and forth, and that is an issue. It's bouncier also when it does bounce from a ball in the air, and also a lot of divots, so I wouldn't want to be playing in the second game tonight. Back to you.
Thanks, Grant. I wouldn't want to either. Should be a good one, though, between Mexico and Panama. Mexico still being criticized, but each game, Kobe, we've seen them a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do in a tournament. You want to get better as the tournament goes on and culminating in the final, hopefully, if you make it all the way. And Mexico's doing that right now. So you have to give them credit that they are playing better with each match. But still not the Mexico that we've known that can really dominate other teams.
Right after this one, Mexico versus Panama. This one's 1-0, U.S. over Honduras. Eddie Johnson with the lone goal. Garcia played it into the middle. Claros holds it. Had some experience playing in Scotland. Lopez left off on the right. Bekeles. Medina. Oh, he had Nahar wide open. Chose not to use him. Lopez. Andy Nahar on the turn. Playing these days with Anderlecht. It's a long ball, and Parkhurst not let it go out. Nahar says it was deflected. Parkhurst. I think that ball was deflected by Parkhurst after he was off the field.
Yeah, that should be a goal kick.
The ball was completely out of play.
Yeah, smart move by Parkhurst, just making sure that he gets in between the ball and the man, so the Honduran player can't get there.
Coming back off Bedoya. Donovan, the shot, and Donovan makes it 2-0. His 17th Gold Cup goal.
Mistakes all the way around for Honduras, but you see Donovan on sides. He does a good job of making sure that he's on sides by timing his run. And then with that little touch by Bedoya right to Donovan, something else that's very skillful that Donovan does. He doesn't wait for that ball to drop. He makes sure that he gets there pretty much at the time that it contacts the ground, and just a little bit of a touch as he saw the defender coming into that play and just puts it right past Escobar.
First off the chest, well done. And then he had Bekeles all over. That was a nice vintage Donovan touch.
Well, it just shows the skill level of Donovan in that situation, being in the right place at the right time and then bringing that ball down very quickly as you see the defender, Bekeles, coming in hard and fast.
Back-to-back games in which Donovan has now scored goals for the U.S. And it's his 4th goal of this tournament.
We've talked about Mexico getting better and better with every game. Now this is also the U.S. getting better and better with every game, because right now the opponents are getting tougher and every game means more as you move in, as we're in these knockout stages. Now we're in the semifinal. It tells you something about this U.S. team, the players that are here and the staff and the squad, and how they are taking this whole tournament. They are improving all the time, and that's important.
Free kick for Honduras, 29th minute. Alexander Lopez over the ball. Club team is Olimpia from Honduras. Sending it in. He's looking for Medina. Brought down by Reyes. He fires it, but it's right at Nick Raimondo. An opportunity, though, for Honduras.
Another opportunity for Honduras off of a set play. You see right there, Eddie Johnson does well to get out early to try to put a little pressure on Reyes there. Maybe that was enough, because that ball goes right to Nick Raimondo, right in his chest, and he's able to smother that up.
Long for Eddie Johnson, a mistake by Chavez. Johnson was able to bring it down. Looks for the help, it's there. It's Bedoya who assisted on that Donovan goal. There's a collision there between him and Reyes. Parkhurst, Bedoya plays for Helsingborg, sends it in. Boy, that could have been the 2nd goal for Donovan, and he knows it.
Donovan knows he should have had that one. It almost seems like it was a little bit off. Great ball in by Bedoya, and then Donovan does an excellent job by beating his man to the near post. Just tries to touch it with the outside of his left foot. A little bit wrong-footed. He probably would have preferred it on his right foot, but a little bit wrong-footed there, and it just glances off of him for a goal kick.
Bedoya from Beckerman. Wide right, Donovan. It's blocked. Honduras takes over. Garcia's pass denied. Chavez. Beckerman will deal with that ball for Beasley. U.S. will recover in their half and now push forward to Holden. Goodson, Parkhurst, Johnson, and Holden together. Bedoya.
Look at this.
Doesn't touch us.
Look at the space that Eddie Johnson gets when he checks off 5-10 yards. No one stepping up with them. Chavez, Medina, they're not dropping in to make sure that first ball in is challenged. So they're allowing them to check off and have time and space. They're gonna have trouble all night if they continue this.
Goodson. Johnson against Chavez this time in the one-on-one. Chavez wins. And then Honduras gives the ball away. Here's Fernando Suarez. Best chance to come away with an upset win. Get it to 0-0 at halftime. That went away early on the Eddie Johnson goal. And now Honduras are down by 2. So they have to open things up. Offside is Bedoya. And the more they open it, Cobra, the more space they give to the U.S. So it's risky.
There's going to be a lot of space and opportunity for the U.S. as this game goes. You see Bedoya at the bottom of your screen, just a couple of yards offside there.
Johnson getting the first goal for the United States. Like Donovan, now goals in back-to-back Gold Cup matches.
Johnson's done a good job getting the first goal, and he was instrumental. He actually went up for the challenge for the ball on the clearance to really flick that on for Bedoya to go after. So he's been instrumental in this so far.
Juan Carlos Garcia playing in his 3rd Gold Cup. He'll take this throw in. Honduran left back. Got it to the end line. Cleared away from Rojas. Johnson is up there putting out some pressure. Honduras from getting with Chavez. Beasler dealt with that in the air. The U.S. will knock it forward over the halfway line. Osman Chavez. Then Beckerman. Honduras back on it. Drilled from the halfway line. Goodson clears that out. Honduras back with it again. Reyes. Nowhere to go. Drops it back for Garcia.
Look at the numbers that the U.S. has back defensively. That's a good job. They're making it very difficult for Honduras to get through. They got the back line of 4, and then they have actually the midfield line of 4 as well. It just seems like they're out hustling Honduras all over the pitch, defensively and offensively. See how quickly they get the numbers forward.
Torres kept it on the ground. Johnson and Donovan together. Donovan poked it ahead. Bedoya blocked. Knocked out. I think Klinsmann thought he had another one. How about the way Donovan pounced on that ball?
It just shows just a little bit more urgency from the U.S. in this situation. As you see this ball go through, Donovan quickly reacts, and Bedoya, he takes the shot. He elects for the shot, but he actually had Eddie Johnson streaming in towards goal if he just laid that across the face. I think that's what Jurgen Klinsmann was so upset about. Wanted that pass just laid across the face to wide open Eddie Johnson.
The U.S. scored 2 goals off of short corners against El Salvador. They're lining up for another short one here.
A lot of space for Goodson on the left side of your screen there. No one really standing next to him.
Donovan drives it. Cleared. And Honduras will chip it ahead. 2 men back for the U.S. Well done by Parkhurst. And that one goes all the way back to Escobar. Back to the sideline. Grant Wall.
You were mentioning short corners, JP, and that's something the U.S. has done a lot lately. 2 goals out of short corners the other day. Donovan told me the coaching staff has been asking for 2 out when there's zonal marking in the box. One challenge, though, is staying on side with short corners. Donovan made a brilliantly timed run before assisting on Goodson's goal Sunday. But if you look closely on Donovan's pass to Eddie Johnson the other day for the 3rd goal, he probably should have been whistled offside. Back to you.
We'll see if that short corner becomes more of a staple for the U.S. Depends on how the opponent plays. As that was brought in specifically for El Salvador. Doesn't mean it can't work against someone else. Here's Donovan on the break, right side. Torres. In his first year with Tigres, changing teams in Mexico. Sending it across. Honduras doesn't deal with that one well. The Nahar header, then Bedoya. Honduras able to move it out, not for long. It's coming right back at their defense. Parkhurst. Parkhurst is getting a great opportunity during this Gold Cup, starting all the time as the right back.
Well, it's all about making the most of your opportunities, and I think Parkhurst has, because when you have that right back position, what you're looking for, not only for someone that can play well there defensively, but has to be a little bit supportive in the attack. That's the modern game, as your midfielders tuck inside, that those wide backs, those outside backs like Parkhurst, get forward and can put up good service, but also good combination play with the midfield and the strikers.
And right back is a very competitive spot right now for the U.S. Cherundolo has been hurt. You hear Timmy Chandler's name mentioned and others. Brad Evans was playing there in qualifying. Now you've got Parkhurst and others as well. It's going to be very competitive.
Well, Torres has just got to settle down here. He's been talked to once already by the referee, and you see that the foul comes in. And yes, he has a right to be upset about this, but this is something you can't do. You can't be saying, hey, card. We know that that's been really frowned upon by FIFA. You got to make sure that you settle down. Just go up and talk to the referee a little bit silently on the side and let him know what's going on.
Eddie Johnson is going to still have possession for the United States. Johnson, a member of the 2006 World Cup team, making good strides, trying to get back to a World Cup in Brazil less than a year from now. Parkhurst, tackled out, still belongs to the United States. Down near the corner flag, and Andy Nahar moves it away. Back into U.S. territory for Beasler. Beasley to Goodson. Another long ball towards Bedoya. Knocked out was Garcia.
This is going to be a long night for Honduras because most of their time is just playing defense. They really don't have much possession of the ball.
Parkhurst. A wild cross. No one close to that. They started, Kobe, as you mentioned, with a defensive lineup. No Marvin Chavez, no Ronnie Martinez. Two of their better offensive players, expecting to keep it tight, maybe halftime scoreless, make those changes in the second half. Then they fall 2 goals behind.
Yeah, and this is always the situation. I mean, you imagine that those players were out for that purpose. For that purpose of bringing them in later, hopefully keeping the game close. But if that's not the case, you know, if it really is, you know, that you're going to bring them in later and you're down 2 goals already, now you're in trouble. Now you've got to hope that they can do something magical.
That one goes wide from Torres. In the 39th minute, goals by Eddie Johnson, Landon Donovan, 2-0 U.S.
You see the strike here, just a little bit hopeful, I think. A little bit, the confidence is building for the U.S. for they're willing to take shots from distance right now.
It's a shot you take when you're up by a couple of goals. U.S., I'm surprised actually the possession was that close. I thought it would be more lopsided than that.
Well, the reason being is because the USA's possession has been a lot of counterattacks and in that offensive third where they've been going to goal. That's why it seems like the U.S. is dominating more. When Honduras has it, it's usually in their defensive half, in their own half, and they're just knocking the ball back and forth and not really going anywhere. And they need to take more chances to really try to get back into this match. And the U.S. is having a field day down this right-hand side.
Ball will skip away from Alejandro Bedoya.
Between Bedoya, Eddie Johnson, and Landon Donovan on this right-hand side, they are having a field day. Garcia is having a tough time. He needs a little bit more support, I think, from his midfielder that needs to drop back, and also from Bekelis inside. It's going to have to shift over a little bit because the U.S. is having a lot of success down there.
Beasler, left foots it long. A couple of bounces back to Escobar. 25th cap for Escobar. We've seen him in World Cup qualifying, but for years he's been the backup to Noel Valladares. He played in the other matches against Honduras. Escobar is really their number 2 goalkeeper. And in Najar's pass, Lopez cut off there by Bedoya, and foul on the U.S. So an opportunity here for Honduras. Late stages of the first half and a free kick.
This is really the only way that Honduras is going to get back in this match is off of a set play. We see here just a little bit of a tussle right there. A little bit of a soft foul by the referee.
Free kick for Alexander Lopez, marking 10 yards with the spray. Lopez, curling ball in, knocked down. And that was a high foot and a foul as well. Beasler down. Foul going against Honduras.
See right there, Beasler takes a foot into the top of his head from Medina. That's good. That's one of the few set plays for the U.S. that they've been first to the ball and make sure that they get the clearance in.
Needless to say, good half for the U.S. 2-0 lead. Rarely under threat.
This is a great half for the U.S. They've got to be ecstatic about the way they're playing, and I think you see it on the field, on the pitch from the players, that they have this feeling of like they know that they're the better team, that they can move the ball at will where they want to, and that's what we're seeing right now. They're dominating this match.
Reyes doubled up. Holden came in and knocked it away.
But little plays like that from Stuart Holden are huge. Winning the tackles in the midfield, just those little tackles, it sends a message. As 1 happens, 2 happens, 3 happens, you start feeling confident all over the pitch.
Garcia trying to get one back for Honduras before the half comes to a close. This would be no difficulty for Nick Raimondo.
And that's the Honduras possession we're talking about. A little bit in the middle third, maybe in their defensive third, but once they get to that final third, they have no answers. They don't know how to break down the back four, the defense of the United States.
The U.S. have just given up 3 goals in this tournament. 1 was off a set piece, 1 off a penalty kick, so really during the run of play, just the 1.
They've been solid during the run of play. It's just usually maybe a little lack of concentration during the set plays that have been a problem for the U.S.
Bedoya doesn't like what went against him. 44th minute, U.S. leading by 2. Eddie Johnson, Landon Donovan, all your goal scorers. 3 changes made by Jurgen Klinsmann in the lineup, and they've all worked pretty well.
They've worked very well so far. Bedoya being involved, Eddie Johnson involved. I mean, this is important. It shows a little bit from the staff that when he makes the changes, the coach right there, Jurgen Klinsmann, that things are working out. Everything's going Klinsmann's way. Klinsy ball, as Grant has said on the sideline there. It's all working out.
I'm sensing a T-shirt coming. Klinsy ball. Beckerman will head it back to Raimondo. Teammates at Real Salt Lake.
I'll be interested to see how Honduras comes out in the second half if they make those changes.
They're going to have to, right?
I would think so. I would think you have to bring in your goal scorers. You have to if you're going to try to make up these 2 goals. That's why I'm never a big advocate of coaches deciding, well, let's see what happens and then I'll use my best players. No, you start from the beginning because you never know what's going to happen, because now this has changed everything. Now you're playing catch up. It's always easier to stay with the pack than to catch up to the pack.
Honduras deep in their own end. Seconds left before we hit the 45-minute mark. And we'll see about stoppage time. U.S. back to defend. Beckerman trying to cut off the angle with Beasley. Fernando Suarez has a lot to think about in the locker room at halftime. Right now, he probably can't wait to get there. Outstanding performance by the United States. No stoppage time was put on, and the U.S. leads 2-0 after 45 minutes. Cody, your thoughts in the first half?
I think it's a happy U.S. team right now going into the locker room and feeling that, you know what, let's continue playing the same way. And you can see right now Honduras not happy, trying to figure it out. What they need to do, they need to get in that locker room and listen to their coach, because they have to make some changes.
Goal scorers, Eddie Johnson and Landon Donovan. 2-0. U.S. leads Honduras after 45 minutes of play. Let's go back to the studio. Rob Stone.
JP, 0. Not even sure Carlos Danger could help out Honduras at this point. Let's see what happens in the second half. For the call, Kobe Jones and JP Delacamera.
Thank you, Rob. Second half is underway. A couple of changes being made by Honduras. We just had a camera shot of Marvin Chavez, who we thought would get the start today. Where's number 17? Told he's in for Diego Reyes, who, like many of his teammates, not very effective in the first half of play. And Jerry Palacios also in the game for Lopez.
Very surprising for me that Chavez wasn't starting this match. He gives such a different dynamic for Honduras. He's a player with speed and dribbling skills that would really have helped them out. We always hear about a good offense starts with a great defense, but also I think it's a little bit the other way around. For Honduras, if they had some players that could hold the ball a little bit, be a little bit more offensive, it would have made it a little bit more difficult for the U.S. to get forward. You see the situation here, almost not head-to-head, but just a little contact there with Bedoya. Looks a little bit shaken up.
He's had a strong first half, Alejandro Bedoya. One of the reasons for the changes made in the midfield by Jurgen Klinsmann, playing Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, the opportunity to get fresh legs in there, especially, as Klinsmann said, the way they wanted to play. They wanted to press as much as they could. They wanted the fresh legs, and they've gotten that from the new midfielders.
Yes, they really wanted a high tempo, and I think that's part of the reason we didn't see Holden in the last match, is that he's going to be playing in this one. He's a player, be very difficult right now to play that Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday situation. So now you get that high tempo, you get players that are fresh, they have the legs, they can go the full 90 and give that energy that has pushed the pace against Honduras and made it very difficult for them. And when you look at the two teams, it almost looks like Honduras looks a little tired, that they put out so much energy in that last match. It's been difficult for them.
Let's go to the sideline and Grant Wall.
Yeah, guys, Jurgen Klinsmann told me he told the team to avoid coming out flat to start the second half the way they did against El Salvador. Get a third goal, then he's going to look to make some changes. Back to you.
That sounds like the right way to play it, because if you can get that third goal, you can really put this one away. Honduras doesn't have that offensive depth to do it. It's brought back down by Donovan. And not scored more than 2 goals in any game in this tournament. They got 2 against Haiti, and then the offense went south after that.
I think it's been an interesting situation. We look here, I mean, right here, look at Honduras. Look at the numbers that are back. How do you plan to get those goals back when everybody's playing in the defensive half? Now's the time that you have to take chances. You have to push some people forward. You have to let the forwards and the strikers maybe stay up a little bit, play 1v1 defense, which is dangerous, I know, against the U.S. right now, but you have to do it if you want to get back in this match.
2 players down, Johnson and Bekeles. And he scored the first goal of this game in the 11th minute. Got things started the right way for the U.S. Then Landon Donovan added one in the 27th.
See Eddie Johnson here in this situation going in, and Bekeles comes in with him early. This is better defense from Honduras so far when that checking run comes to challenge that first ball.
Jose Torres and DeMarcus Beasley with the ball. It's going to be Torres sending it in. Denied by Honduras, and they look to break out. Delgado pushing it back. Field intended for Palacios, not high enough. The U.S. are back in possession. Nick Raimondo will push it up. Intended for Eddie Johnson. Down that right flank. Bedoya cracks it. Big save for Escobar. Corner kick coming. Deceptive shot from Bedoya.
And another great opportunity from the USA off of an Eddie Johnson challenge on the header. And then Bedoya running through late. He has a good chance right here. And it looks like Chavez slides over just enough, gets the deflection in this situation. The touch from Bedoya takes him a little bit away from goal.
Sent into the box, and that's cleared away. Pushed up to the left. Beckerman still up from that corner. In for Johnson. And that's missed. We always talk about Eddie's speed, but he's worked so hard tonight. The work rate's been incredible. He's contested every ball in the air and on the ground.
And that's important. You have to make sure that your striker doesn't just feel like, okay, I'm going to be dangerous inside the box and just on the ground. Eddie Johnson's done a good job of challenging headers. Any of the balls that have been cleared by Nick Raimondo, he's been going up and challenging and winning most of them.
It's Nahar. Quiet game so far for Andy Nahar compared to the game against Costa Rica on Sunday. Too far for Garcia. Out. It belongs to the U.S. Right at the halfway line. Bit of a push. Holden got free. Sends it up too far for Eddie Johnson. Right to Escobar. Beasler in the air. Honduras brings it down with Nahar. DeMarcus Beasley goes off Claros. And this will roll out of play. Goal and an assist tonight for Landon Donovan, playing in his 150th international match for the United States. Beasley looking for it. That's Palacios. Down he goes. Foul on Beasley. Palacios, one of three brothers at the last World Cup. First trio of brothers to be on the same World Cup squad.
So Palacios just puts that ball through Beasley's legs, goes down very easily, but asking for the card. It's another situation where Honduras is going to try to get back into it. Maybe if they can get cards, maybe try to see if they can get a player thrown out. They have to try anything at this point.
It's Marvin Chavez, goal versus Haiti in game one as a sub, sending it across the header, and it's there! They're back in the game! Medina for Honduras. Again, it's off a set piece.
You see the lack of concentration once again. Medina with just a yard of space. Look, he's standing right there. He hasn't moved that much from his initial position, so you have to wonder who's there on the mark. And this is going to be the question. As you see, there's 3 U.S. players standing around him. It's difficult to tell who should be on that mark. Right now, that gives Honduras life now in this match. So now it's very important that the U.S. come out swinging.
It's Medina's first international goal, even though he's played as a member of this team since 2003, off and on. Well, that may change Jurgen Klinsmann's thinking in terms of potential subs. They were looking for that third goal. Instead, they give up that first goal. That should have been something from Medina.
That should have been a yellow card for Medina right there, but it tells you right now they're pulling for the energy. They're trying to play an energy game right now.
Here's an answer back for Donovan! Incredible! U.S. are back up by 2. And Bedoya helps again.
And another ball over the top. We said getting behind, and Bedoya does an excellent job. And Landon Donovan, right place, right time. Make sure that he gets right to the left of his defender. Beautiful ball by Bedoya to really just place that right into the feet of Landon Donovan. And I said come out swinging for the U.S. Well, there's the knockout punch right there. That is the most devastating thing for a team, to take a goal right after you've scored a goal.
In the 53rd minute, Landon Donovan has given the U.S. back their 2-goal cushion, so he's been involved in all 3 U.S. goals. 2 goals, 1 assist. His staggering numbers get even better.
And we talked about it. Not only is the team getting better, but Landon Donovan is getting better with each match. And that's important. It seems to be, as Landon Donovan goes, this team goes. And if you keep scoring goals like this and getting assists, I mean, he's been involved in everything in the last 2 games.
Honduras, you're not going to score that way. Over Nick Romando. What a night, what a tournament.
What a night, what a tournament, to say the least. He just delivered a knockout punch, especially mentally, for Honduras. That's such a difficult thing to get over after you feel that you've come within reach, and then to have it just snatched away from you.
He was looking for another one. The flag was up. Donovan was appealing for a handball. Chavez says off the chest.
I want a second look at that. That looked like it was inside the box with Chavez in this situation. If you're going to call that foul for the handball, it looked very close to being a penalty kick.
Got to remember the new word deliberate in the equation.
Well, it doesn't get more deliberate than that.
Yeah. Very high up on the shoulder.
Yeah, it looked like the shoulder instead of the hand, or the arm, I should say.
Part of it. But he called it outside anyway.
Yeah, but this still gives the U.S. a great opportunity here. This has got to be a strike on goal.
Jose Torres, years with Pachuca, sends it up and over Escobar.
I'm not a big fan of the little chips over the wall. I'd rather see Torres just step up and have a crack. Have a crack at it, hit it with some pace. Here's a better look at it.
Well, that looked inside, if it was called, right?
Yeah, that's such a difficult one, but we look there, and that's just a little floated ball over the top that Torres hits. That's a difficult one to call there.
This one out of play. Throw in for Honduras. U.S. only had 1 shutout in this competition. There's another foul. Well, it's not called. The U.S. player down as Eddie Johnson takes off with it. Well, that's a little physical from the frustrated Chavez, I would think. He offers a quick apology, but in the meantime, that's not what you want to see if you're connected with the United States national team. Stuart Holden down on the field. We've seen that too many times.
And you see, Holden just goes body to body in this situation. Almost looks like he hits the air knocked out of his chest, which for me with Stuart Holden is okay as long as it's not anything down at the legs for him. That's what you want to see. You know, he'll be fine with that. You know, you saw a little chippiness going on with Chavez and Eddie Johnson. You know, the hand extended to say it's okay, but that I don't think.
This is the goal. Bedoya to Donovan. Chavez has not had a good night.
No, Chavez in this situation, he lets Landon Donovan get away from him, and then that's just a simple tap in with Landon Donovan.
Luis Fernando Suarez looking up at the big scoreboard, the replay. Didn't like it live, didn't like it on the replay.
Frustration all over the place. You can't be happy with just scoring a goal and within a minute or two giving up a goal.
Honduras has already given up more goals in this game than they have in the entire tournament. So defense is what has gotten them to this point. Defense has failed them in this semifinal match against, as you said earlier, really the high-powered offense. The most goals in this tournament was 16 coming in. Now it's 19. They lead this tournament in shots on goal as well.
The USA is doing everything right. They're doing everything right all over the pitch. They only have, my only complaint really with the U.S. is off of the set plays. They keep giving up a goal. You can't do that. It seems to be working now because their offense is scoring so many goals that they've been, they can allow to give it one, but they've got to really tighten that up.
The only shutout was by Sean Johnson against Costa Rica, but Romando's played very well in this tournament. But each game, a goal has been given up. hasn't been tested as much in this game as he has been tested in previous, especially the El Salvador game. Two players holding on to one another. That battle continues. Johnson and Chavez here in the 60th minute.
Keep one eye on that battle and on those two players. As you see to the left of your screen, there might be a little bit of testiness and a little bit of chippiness going on between those two. A little bit of extra play going on there.
Torres and the U.S. looks to go upfield. Tackled out by Claros, but off Torres.
Maybe off Torres there, but it looked like it was a foul on Torres.
Medina. He scored the goal that brought Honduras back. Long shot from distance. It's wide of Nick Raimondo. And the 3-1 USA lead continues.
This is a hopeful shot from distance. Nick Raimondo has this one covered. The only hope there is that there's a bunch of different players in front that can kind of shield Nick Raimondo's vision, but he's got that covered.
Bounce on this hard field. U.S. looks for it. It's going to fall almost towards Donovan, but instead Honduras in blue will start back with the speed of Chavez. Plays for the San Jose Earthquakes. First few years he spent with FC Dallas.
This game is getting a bit chippy. We just saw, I'm not sure how many people saw that, but Garcia just threw his arm towards a player, a little bit of an elbow, trying to go a little something at Bedoya.
Halfway line for Honduras and beyond. Claros too far, wrong side of Rojas. Let's get a report from Grant Wall on the sideline. Grant?
Yeah, we're going to see some subs here pretty soon. Looks like Breck Shea warming up. Joe Corona, mixed Discarud. U.S. has shown some real depth in this tournament. Used 21 of the 27 players who've been in. The only guys who haven't seen action: Will Bruin, Bill Hamid, Omar Gonzalez, Alan Gordon, Jack McInerney, and Corey Ash. Back to you.
Thanks, Grant. We wonder if we'll see Omar Gonzalez in the final if this result stands. I know Jurgen Klinsmann doesn't want to break up that back group, but again, they've given up a goal, and if you get to the final, and you brought in Gonzalez, you would think you're going to use him.
You would think so. As we see, there's just a stupid foul, really. Beckless in this situation into the back of Eddie Johnson. And Johnson goes down easy, knowing that he's going to get this set play for the United States. But yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to change a winning lineup, and especially when you have your defense, that's the last change that coaches want to make. So Omar Gonzalez, if he doesn't go in, is going to have to understand.
63rd minute, USA leads 3-1. Played in, and it's cleared out by Honduras. U.S. first in the ball. Beasley from Parkhurst. Sent it wide to the left. Kyle Beckerman versus Medina, and then Beckerman lost it in the last touch.
We talked about Gonzalez going in there. He would help on these set play situations where they are struggling a little bit. But if he doesn't come into the match, doesn't start in the final where it looks like the U.S. is going to be going, you know, as a professional, you have to understand that situation. You come into the national team and you're called, but not playing, yeah, it's a difficult situation, but you got to hold on to it. You got to keep it inside and, make sure when you have your opportunity, you're ready to play. That's what it's about, being a pro. And who might not understand is his coach in L.A., Bruce Arena. That might be a bit of a different situation. He's going to want him for every match he can get.
Luis Fernando Suarez has done well to get his team this far. Their 5th appearance in the semifinals. Their best finish, first Gold Cup in 1991, lost to the USA on penalties after a scoreless draw. In the last Gold Cup, it was Mexico that took them out. That's some dangerous passing back in the Honduras end, but they come away with it. They'll try to go long for Rojas. The U.S. are back on the ball, claiming possession, pushing it wide. Donovan back for it. Beckerman, Holden. He did well to settle it down and then push forward and then finding that last pass out.
Holden knows he's got to do a little bit better with that. Ball over the top. Drive that on the ground right into the space so Beasley can run onto it. It gives you a better opportunity.
Nahar's pass. Palacios gave it away. U.S. takes off with it. It wasn't on, so they'll play it back just to keep possession.
This is well done by the U.S. in the midfield, just really taking it to Honduras, winning all the balls, setting things up, and just really passing the ball around.
Slipped there by Bedoya. And enable Honduras to get possession again. And they'll switch it. Marvin Chavez looking up, sending it forward. The one was made by Nahar, but Beasley was back to cover.
And there's a player we haven't seen a whole lot from in this game, Andy Nahar. He really hasn't done a lot for Honduras. He needs to get on the ball a little bit more. He's one of the creative players for Honduras, so he needs to be on the ball. He can't just sit out wide right and wait for the game to come to him. He's got to do a little bit more. But let's give a lot of credit to DeMarcus Beasley, veteran leader, really kind of shutting him down, making it difficult for him to get on the ball.
Medina. And push that past Torres. Torres thought he had more help in slowing Medina down, trying to force him into pressure. Off Palacios, Beckerman. Quick pass to Holden. Beckerman moves it ahead. Beckerman's solid. The only negative thing for Beckerman, so many good midfielders on this team, so much competition. Got a player down on the near sideline, DeMarcus Beasley. And maybe that's some of that nastiness you were talking about.
I think it's a little bit of frustration from Nahar. I don't think he's touched the ball a whole lot. And that's one of the things that gets a player more frustrated than anything else, is not touching the ball. You just feel like you're just running around defensively the whole time.
U.S. getting ready to make some substitutions. It's Breck Shea that's up. We were told that he and Wondolowski were warming up earlier. Jose Torres' night is going to be done. Breck Shea will replace him. Mixed Discarud coming in. Beckerman is out.
I think Beckerman's had a great tournament, but also a great match tonight. I didn't see him so much offensively in this match, but what he's really done, he was very good at connecting, getting the ball, receiving it, connecting one side of the field to the next, but also just being at the right place at the right time, picking up those little mistakes that the Honduras team did, picking up the balls, winning the balls. That's what that central defensive position is being a ball winner.
That was the clip by Nahar that brought Beasley down. It's a throw-in for the United States. They have a 3-1 lead. Offense has been their story throughout this tournament. Multiple goals, the timing of the goals, the early goals, and every time they're under some pressure, Kobe, they get the goal right away. When Belize had scored in that game, that made it a 2-1 game. Right away, Wondolowski scored another one. So they've been threatened a couple of times in this tournament, but each time they were threatened, they had the answer right away and made the score even more lopsided.
Well, that seems to be a habit of this U.S. team, is coming back and answering any questions, answering any goal that another team does. It says, hey, you know what you do, I can do better. And they go right back, get a goal and really take it to the opposing team and just really frustrate them, mentally. That's a talent. That's a huge talent to have. When you take a goal, to be able to come right back and score, that's saying that, you're a team, you're working together, and you're all on the same page.
So Ronnie Martinez will come in as the last sub for Roger Rojas. So they are done, Honduras, with the subs. Well, you could argue now, Kobe, they've got their best offensive players out on the field, but now they're 2 goals down. But they finally have all of their big guns out there.
Yeah, you could argue that it's just too late.
Down that right side. Not much room there. Knocked out for a throw-in. Good cover from Beasler.
Unless there's a complete collapse by the defense for the USA, I just think it's too late that you're making these substitutions at this point. First off, if you have your best offensive players on the bench, that's a problem. You're in the semifinals of the Gold Cup.
Knockout, yeah.
Knockout stage. Play to win. Don't play hoping that you get a certain result.
That's a bad move there. Romano came out. Where did he handle the ball? You could hear some of the Honduran crowd certainly thought that was outside where it was touched.
Well, that's a great play by Nick Raimondo. He handles the ball inside the box, but once it's outside, he doesn't have his hands on it, and he plays with his feet. And like has been mentioned quite a few times, Nick Raimondo, he might be better than a lot of the field players, with his feet.
Here's Honduras. Foul just over the halfway line. Down that left flank, Garcia. Still a lot of time left if they could get a second goal that would cut that deficit to 1. Long shot from Chavez. That's wide, and Nick Raimondo.
You see just setting up a shot from distance. The U.S. a little bit slow on closing it down. If Honduras is going to have an opportunity, it's going to be off of a lapse of concentration from the U.S. And you see right here, Raimondo handles it inside the box, but once outside the box, he plays with his feet. Actually dribbles around the player. It tells you something, the confidence that he has with his feet. Very skillful, Nick Raimondo. Probably one of the best 5v2 players around.
Back to the sideline, Grant Wall.
Guys, if the U.S. holds on and wins this game, don't underestimate how important the win will be for them. Honduras has given the U.S. more trouble than any other team this year that they've played, and is the last team in CONCACAF to beat them all the way back in February. Obviously, a win here would send the U.S. to the Gold Cup final as well. Back to you.
And Grant, that would be against the winner of the following game, Mexico versus Panama. Could be a rematch if Mexico wins, and of course, if the U.S. wins this, of the last 2 Gold Cup finals won by Mexico. But right now, this is a very solid U.S. team. Unlike Mexico, who have hit all kinds of turbulence in this Gold Cup, the USA, with the exception of goals given up off of restarts and only a few of those, they've been solid throughout this tournament. They've gotten better and better, especially on offense.
Yeah, that's what you like to see with a team when they're going through tournament play. This is much different than anything else you see than one game's off. And you see there's the goal from Landon Donovan by a great assist by Bedoya to pick him out. Landon Donovan getting a celebration. A big hand from the crowd. Look at that, standing ovation from the players as he comes off the field.
Well deserved. This is what I wanted to see. And right as we say that, coverage cut away. We wanted to see Klinsmann's reaction to Donovan. And you just saw a little bit of it.
Well, Klinsmann's got to be happy with Donovan, the way that he's playing. Just in the last 2 games, being involved in so many ways, on assists, on goals, really being involved in every play. That's what you want from someone that you expect to be a leader within the squad.
Parkhurst with a throw-in. It's the first time that Donovan has come out in this tournament. That might have been Klinsmann's way of just giving him the proper ovation, as you see coaches do that all across the world when a player's done so well, if you're going to make a substitution. But he also wants to give Wondolowski a look as well with Eddie Johnson. Look at Bedoya. Finally loses it there. Spinning around. Honduras with possession. Nahar.
Nahar and Chavez have switched sides. Let me see if that might help out a little bit, get Nahar a little bit more into the match.
Chavez. Claros, who's had a quiet night so far, is one of the better players. Shea putting on some pressure there.
Now this is the time for Honduras. If they're going to do anything and have an opportunity, this is the time you want to do it. Once there's some substitutions for a team, there's a little bit of a few minutes or so where it takes time for the team to really readjust to the new players on the pitch.
Sent in, and that's knocked away. How will these subs change the USA formation-wise, Kobe? You've got Breck Shea coming in, different type of player than the man he replaced. Now Wondolowski up top with Eddie Johnson. Before it was pretty much Eddie up top on his own.
Well, you're going to see Wondolowski now kind of sitting up top with Eddie Johnson, maybe playing underneath a little bit, but he's not going to drop as much as a Landon Donovan would or go out wide as much as Donovan would to try to receive the balls. He's going to stay up top, try to get himself in the box for any crosses or balls played in. And then Breck Shea, he's definitely going to try to be more of an offensive threat going down the left-hand side, trying to get the ball, dribble, and get crosses in.
Breck Shea's on this team because of the injury to Josh Gadden. He's made the most of it. He had that terrible game earlier in this tournament. Then he scores the game winner against Costa Rica and then gets a little bit more playing time. And this is a big year for him. He's got to play at Stoke.
Well, that's what's important. That's what's important. We talked about what Jurgen Klinsmann has said about players have to play. It doesn't matter where you are. Well, it matters to a degree, but you have to be playing at the high levels. No matter what, be it MLS, be it over in Europe, you've got to be doing something, because if you're sitting on the bench, it does no good.
Shea is down. Perfect example. Eddie Johnson, owned by Fulham, loaned all over the place, wasn't playing, was not in the picture of the national team. Eddie Johnson comes back, has a great year in Seattle, back on the team, and probably makes the next World Cup.
Yeah, and that's very important. Eddie Johnson is the perfect example of get your playing time. You know, make sure that you're on the pitch, and when you start doing well on the field, that's when the coaching staff of the USA is going to be looking at you, because they're looking at everybody all over the world. And when you are playing and you're playing well, most likely you'll get that call up.
All the way toward the back. Goodson nods it down. Raimondo right there. Now the U.S. will play it out of the back. 77th minute. A 3-1 USA lead. Eddie Johnson scored first. Landon Donovan scored to make it a 2-0 U.S. lead at the half. Medina got one back for Honduras, and then Donovan got another in the 53rd minute. That's the last goal in this game. 2 goals and an assist for Landon Donovan in his comeback from a self-imposed hiatus. Out for about 11 months. Galaxy are thrilled to have him back, and I'm assuming the USA is as well. Breck Shea, left side. It falls. Johnson will leave it. Back for Johnson. Just missed.
Frustration from Johnson. You see Johnson right there. The ball goes behind him, but he does a good job of just stepping back, holding his run so the ball can be played back to his feet. First time strike, but just a little bit wide. And once again, Bedoya making sure that he's attacking all the time down that right-hand side, coming in at the back post. And he's doing a very good job, making the most of his opportunity here.
Bedoya's had a great night. Great night. 78th minute, 3-1 lead for the United States over a Honduras team that's made their 3 subs, and so too now have the U.S. Wondolowski to the feet of the speedy Eddie Johnson. 3 players back to defend for Honduras. And now it's knocked away. Intended for Chavez. Out in front of Klinsmann. Out again. Throw in coming up.
There's the strike from Eddie Johnson. Good clean contact with the top of his foot, but just goes a little bit wide. Has the keeper beaten, I believe, but just can't beat that far post.
And that time it went off Eddie Johnson. Be a throw in for Honduras. 79th minute, 3-1. U.S. leads. Winner of this game takes on the winner of Panama versus Mexico. That's coming up next on Fox Soccer. And the final will be played Sunday, Soldier Field in Chicago. Panama's already beaten Mexico once in this tournament, 2-1. A shocker on opening day at the Rose Bowl. We'll find out if they can do it again.
Well, that makes for a good rematch in the semifinal, right?
It does.
knockout stage, and now if you're Mexico, you have the opportunity to make up for that opening loss that really set the tone for them, where everyone got very negative on Mexico in this tournament.
Chavez knocked it back, pushed forward by Delgado. Palacios turning, passing not too crisp on the part of Honduras. It allows the USA to get everybody back defensively. Delgado, not close to anybody. The closest player to it was Marvin Chavez. He wasn't all that close.
Well, that's just an example right there of how Honduras looks a little bit disjointed all over the pitch. Offensively, the passes aren't crisp and clean, just a little bit off, knocking them out of bounds. And even defensively, you see, maybe 6-7 players stepping up, but then 2 or 3 are just waiting to see what happens.
Clados squares it. Garcia. Nahar.
Very difficult for Honduras to break down this U.S. defense, as you see the 2 lines of 4 right through the middle of your screen right there. And then as the ball comes in, players stepping up. That's how you're supposed to play that defense, making sure that you always challenge for every ball in your defensive half.
Far side of the field, Nahar sending it into the box. Palacios was there. From distance, Honduras will play it up off Chavez. Nice flick. Palacios. There was a chance to make it 3-2 and make it interesting with about 10 minutes left.
And this little chip in, that's a good ball put over the top right there. And you see just a little bit of a back header, and Palacios, there's off of the deflection. Good job by Beasler to step in there and make sure he doesn't have a clean strike at goal.
Off that corner, Chavez. Defended to the sideline. Bekeles makes his run. Then the cross. Raimondo came out. Brave save with Palacios right there. .34-year-old Nick Raimondo has been solid. Again, no shutouts in this tournament for him, but he has played well and with confidence. As Brad Guzan and Tim Howard in front of him in goal.
A little bit of a poor choice by Shea right there. I'd like to see him with all that time and space. He's got 1 defender 10 yards from him. Dribble at him. Get a little bit closer to goal. Make that defender come closer to you. Then make that pass.
Beasley. Pushed from behind by Palacios. And kick 2.
Well, one thing I will give Honduras, at least Palacios may not be the right way, but he's the one that seems like this means something to him. Right now, the rest of the team seems to be struggling a little bit. Seems a little bit tired, if you ask me. Like, that game against Costa Rica was like their big match. Like, that was the one that meant everything for them. And even though this is against the U.S. in the semifinal, they don't seem to be able to have that energy level that they had before.
Breck Shea. Running at Medina. Pulls it back, crosses. It's going to be cleared away. Chavez trying to knock it to the middle. Discouraged, came back to win it. DeMarcus Beasley, 7 in the red and white of the U.S. And Chavez took him down.
That's really the only thing that Chavez could do. He's playing catch up on Beasley right there. So Beasley does a good job of cutting across the face of Chavez, so Chavez either has to slow down and stop or take him down for a foul.
It's a Discouraged free kick. Sending it in, that's cleared away. Long shot by Holden, and that's wide. He's had his looks today, but he's been off target from distance.
Holden's done a good job of creating opportunities for himself, getting forward, But in those shots from distance like that, where he's like 40, 45 yards out, a little bit hopeful. But you know what? He's feeling confident. This is a lot better than when we saw in the first game that Holden played. You just see his confidence growing, as a player, and that's important for him. Coming off of the injuries, being back in with the team, lets you know that he's starting to get back to his old self.
Johnson lost it there. Klinsmann is trying to give Holden opportunities. Knows he can't play him with this kind of a schedule, playing every 3 days. But impressive on this kind of a surface that he got the call and is going to go 90 minutes in this. And that was a little late and a little extra from Martinez.
Martinez just comes in and just gives a little bit of a little arm, little shoulder into Nick Raimondo. Raimondo's not happy about that. I wouldn't be happy about that either. In that situation, no need for that. Referee has a little talk there.
Long boot from Raimondo towards Eddie Johnson. The bounce now instead of Wondolowski. He's held. He gets free. Stayed with it. Played it across. Well, to Wondolowski's credit, he stayed on his feet. Somebody else might have drawn a penalty.
I think Wondolowski had a great chance to draw a penalty in that situation. He was held. He was kicked. He was kicked in the face. He was pushed. Everything that you're not supposed to do was just done against Wondolowski, and he still stayed up and got that ball across.
I say, to his credit, not everybody does it that way. Cleared by Chavez. Wondolowski has not scored in the last couple of games, but his overall game seemed to be there in the last couple, and I think he's playing with more confidence since getting those goals early in the tournament.
You see the hold there, you see the kick in the face, and there's the push. Wondolowski still gets the cross off. That's a good job by Wondolowski. You can't complain after. If he stays up like that, you usually don't get the call from the referee. So he's either got to draw the foul and go down and put the referee in a tough situation where he might have to make that call.
It's a Parkhurst throw-in. Off Wondolowski. That's taken away. Honduras 2 goals down and right now fighting the clock as well as a strong USA team. Off Martinez, and the U.S. will collect. Holden, Shea. Beasley was on the run. Oh. That was a kick towards the midsection. Klinsmann's upset. He saw that better than the referee, Quesada. Was he just sent off? I saw Quesada pointing. He may have just said to sit down.
I think he might have been saying that that it's Honduras's ball there in that situation. But Klinsmann, you can see read his lips, unbelievable. He's not happy with that situation. I have to agree with him here. You see Beasley there, he's jumping out of the way there, and then just a double attack right there. Two players on
cards plural. Cards plural.
Oh,
he did send him off.
He was.
He did. That's what I thought I was reading with the body language, and that's unfortunate for Klinsmann. Not sure what he said, but he was very close to the referee.
Well, that's silly if he's sent off, because that he's going to miss the final.
Palacios broken up. At least 2 cards could have been given on that play. And he did have a good view of it, unfortunately for him.
At least 2 cards could have given on that play, and I think we didn't see it, but there has to be a card given to the wrong person, I believe.
'88th minute, a 3-1 lead for the United States. Raimondo will make that one, make it safe. Luis Fernando Suarez has seen better from his team. Problem, though, to score goals in this tournament has come back to hit them again. Although you would have thought if they could have scored a couple in this game, they would have had a better shot to win, even 1 goal. But not if you're giving up 3. They weren't going to get 4 goals against the U.S. The higher the score had to be in the USA's favor with the kind of tournament they've had.
looking at this match, I think this is the coach of Honduras, Suarez's fault when you look at this. Not starting your best players, that just makes no sense to me when you're at the semifinals. You can't plan for what's going to happen in the second half or even in the next game. You got to make sure that you're ready and prepared for what's coming up next. This allowed the U.S. to really have a good go, get up 2 goals, and then you make the changes. You're playing catch-up.
From distance, Delgado not even close to the target. Time running out, 90th minute.
And I'll tell you something else. From a player's perspective, if you've been playing in the matches and then all of a sudden in the semifinal you're told that you have to sit, you're not happy. You are not happy, and that resonates throughout the team. That's a guarantee, no matter what anybody says.
90th minute, USA leads Honduras 3-1. In this first of 2 semifinals on Fox Soccer, John Strong, Keith Costigan, ready to bring you another big one, Panama and Mexico. In Cowboys Stadium, Arlington, Texas. We'll see how this field plays out in the second game. Didn't seem to be a whole lot of problems, although we'll get a better sense when you hear post-game quotes from the players. 3 minutes added on here.
Through the whole match, I only saw a couple of slips here and there, but we'll see, like you said, after it's been chopped up a little bit, maybe they water it down again for this next match if it's going to be a little bit more slippery, a little bit more trouble for the players.
Talked about the narrower field, about 4 yards narrower. Didn't seem to help Honduras like we thought it would, or at least it could. It was in their favor.
Yeah, it was in their favor, that narrowness as far as the width and getting spread wide, or how the U.S. likes to attack on the wings. But the U.S. took advantage of the other way you beat teams when they try to sit back like that. Stretch them vertically. Get balls over the top. Get the ball into the feet of strikers, and as the defense comes in, you lay that ball off, and then you have other runners through. That's what we saw on the combination play in the first goal. And that's so important. That you take advantage of anything that's given to you. And the U.S. really did that on how to break this Honduras team down.
The only real negative for the U.S., Klinsmann being sent off moments ago.
On set plays. Yes, taking a goal on a set play. That's still got to be a little bit frustrating for Coach Klinsmann that they still gave up a goal on a set play. And there's the man, Landon Donovan. He's got to be pretty ecstatic about the way this tournament is going for him right now. Not only this match, but the previous match, the whole tournament. I mean, he's doing a fabulous job in there leading this team.
He started the day with 5 goals and 7 assists in 5 games. You can add another 2 goals and an assist to that tally. But it's everything else, the leadership, the teamwork, everything. He's blended in well. And his return is a foul in the U.S. About a minute to go. And then the U.S. can think about the final versus the winner of Mexico-Panama coming up. And a yellow card to Johnson for encroachment. So Eddie Johnson goes into the book of Walter Caseta. And Stuart Holden trying to win it back. That's another foul. Johnson tracking back. His goal started it for the United States. They're up now by 2 in the dying seconds.
Well, this is where you just take some personal pride, as you know the match is pretty much over for the U.S. You want to go out strong here, win this set play, clear it, get to it before anyone on Honduras does.
Chavez drives it in, but it's right at Nick Rimando. Beyond 3 in stoppage, that's going to do it. USA wins 3-1 over Honduras. They're on their way to the final. Thoughts on the match, Kobe?
great match for the USA. Honduras did look tired, like they could never really compete at the level that the U.S. did. But for the U.S., well done all the way around. They did what they needed to do, and they're getting better with each match. And that's what you want to do in these tournament play situations. A good sign for the U.S. in the future. A lot of choices for Coach Klinsmann.
Good sign for Landon Donovan. 7 goals, 8 assists now in 6 games in his return to the United States. So the United States goes on to the final versus the winner of Mexico versus Panama. Should be a good final as we go back to the studio and Rob Stone.